to my Self-Love with Sarah podcast. I'm excited for this series. This next series is going to be basically me bringing in people, ones that I'm very inspired with and have followed their journey for a long time. And this next series is going to be Making Goodness Attractive. And my guest today is Stephanie Macarillo.
Hi.
Stephanie is my best friend, so this might be a conflict of interest, but I adore her. I've been inspired by her for many, many years. So thank you for being here, my love.
So happy to be here.
The reason why I have her on my series today, and she's my first guest, is because I've been inspired for her for many years. Let's just do a little backstory how I met Steph. I met her back in our party days, our party years when we were younger. And really what I'm opening this series is just how we went from being, knowing each other in the party days and how we kind of both took a different path in life. We were doing the same thing at one point of our lives. And then Stephanie became a mom really young. So she took a different turn in life than me. And I continued to party and live that same life for a very long time. And Stephanie had to grow up fast. So that's why we want to talk today.
I love that.
For you to help moms out there, moms struggling, even moms, our age now still struggle. I couldn't even imagine starting when you were, what were you?
Yeah, 26.
Yeah.
Single.
Yeah.
Single mom.
Yeah. So let's touch on that a little bit.
So yeah, Sarah and I were very good friends. We partied back in the day. And then my life became, I had to become a mom, and that changed my whole world around. I was a single mom, didn't think my life would be like that at all. Not at 26, not at all. Who would have thought that, you want that family, you want that relationship with somebody, you want that companionship. And unfortunately, things turned not for the worst, but back then I thought it was for the worst. Now I look back and I think it's definitely for the best. I raised my daughter, Juliana, pretty much on my own, obviously with the help of my family. I could not have done it without my parents and, my close family and friends. And just, pretty much just doing it alone, having a career, trying to start over, up at night alone. I felt so lost.
Were you in your career then, or were you just starting off? Where were you at in your career?
So I was just starting off. Juliana was about 1 when I really started thriving in my career.
And what do you do?
So I am in commercial real estate. I do managing for leasing department at both the Danbury Fair Mall and then at Wilton Mall in Saratoga. So I manage about 65 to 70 tenants. So it's a lot of work. Nonstop.
Right.
Phones going off all the time. You can relate.
Yeah.
Emails are blasting off, all while trying to have a family and be a mom. Yeah. So
good.
Not fun.
No.
Sometimes.
No. Definitely. Yeah. So let's talk about how you had your support from your family. Did you have a friend group then? Like where were your friends? I mean, you weren't hanging out with me.
No, I wasn't hanging out with you.
More. You had to leave that friend group behind.
I was watching you on Instagram. Wishing I was doing that still.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, your whole life kind of just changes. You got it.
Yeah.
As soon as you became a mom, you see how hard it is. I mean, especially doing it alone and only having my parents. I had a great support system.
Mm-hmm.
I had close friends, but I do think, and I will say, we can get into this even later, but my core group of people were in my 30s.
Right.
That's where I found my people. Those are the people who continue to support me, the ones who stuck by my side. So I didn't have a lot of friends back then because they were younger. They were still out. They were still hanging out. I didn't
It's so hard to watch that, like you said, 100%. On Instagram or, seeing all of that go on.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the resentment and the just frustration that caused.
For sure. And then I think the biggest, struggle for me was seeing all that and then not having that support of my partner, of Juliana's dad.
Right.
Juliana's dad wasn't in her life at the time, still really isn't. He comes and goes, and that's fine. But, doing it alone, I think was was the hardest thing to do at that age.
Sure.
All while trying to start a career and trying to figure myself out.
Mhm.
I didn't know who I was.
Right.
I was in a darker place, I would say. Not drugs or alcohol or anything like that, but just mentally.
Right.
Mentally, I was just not in a good headspace. And, that's really where I turned to my family.
Mhm.
Those were my biggest support system at the time. So I couldn't do without them. I love
Yeah.
them.
I love them too.
I know you do.
Good. So do you want to touch base on a little bit of Juliana's dad and how that was?
Yeah.
Were you dating? I mean,
Yeah. So dating as a single mom is no joke.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge adjustment for me and for my family. I felt like I was almost a burden on my parents because I had to move back home.
Right.
Juliana and I moved back into our childhood home where I am still currently residing, but we have big other plans happening soon. So I think that was.
Where were you guys living before that?
So Juliana and Juliana's dad and myself were living in an apartment in Poughkeepsie.
Okay.
That's where I
didn't
got
even know
pregnant.
that.
Yeah, that's where I got pregnant. And then realizing that we were about to have a baby, we had to move back in with my parents. So he moved with me.
Okay.
Yeah. So we lived with my parents until she was born. And unfortunately, Juliana's dad struggled with addiction. So, he chose a different life and I wish him the best. He's a great person and, I don't wish any harm, but I had to do what was right for myself as a mom at the time, a new mom.
Crazy, right?
And I had to move past that and move on from that, which was hard.
So my next question with that is addiction and being a mom from, a child, being on the other side of addiction and what that looks like and how that was, separating your family. How did that look for you?
Yeah.
And your family?
It was tough. We have addiction in our family. So obviously I have a huge heart. I just wanted to help.
Right.
I thought I can change him. I thought that I could turn his life around. I thought that I could, want him to be part of Juliana's life and my life.
Seeing the family and that would make him change.
Yeah, for sure. Made it easier by, hey, let's go move in with my parents. Let's make things easier, less of a financial burden on us. Like we could save money and then eventually move out. So I think that was tough. That was really hard. And I think it was harder on me because he didn't want to change. And you always go back to that, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, is it me? But unfortunately with addiction, they have to want it themselves.
Right.
And he's doing better. He's doing great from what I hear. So I'm happy for that. And I wish, the best.
Absolutely.
But and I think one day when Juliana's older, I'll let her choose, what she wants to do.
Of course.
Regarding that situation.
Right.
But, I'm
She's
just protecting
still.
her right now. And, I'm still hurt, I think, sometimes. It still bothers me sometimes that, I don't have that outlet. So dating is very tough. Living back with my parents and putting that pressure on them to, hey, can you watch Juliana so I can go on a date? Hey, can you, take her after school so I can just meet somebody out for a little bit? I always felt like I was a big burden on my family. And I kind of feel like
asking for help is
hard.
Yeah,
I hate asking for help. I mean, it's tough. It's a hard thing to do, I think. And I think now I'm in such a good place that I need the help for me to be a better person.
Of course.
For me to be a good mom, good girlfriend, a good sister, So I think that, unfortunately it's tough, but it's fun. It's gotten me to where I am now and I'm enjoying it.
Good. So let's touch on that. Let's touch on those few things. Let's touch on dating because this is a fun topic. I think we both can kind of go back and forth on this. So what was dating like? It's hard, right? You're a mom. introducing men to Juliana, just dating in general, asking for help, asking if you can go on a date. So what did that look like in the beginning? When did you start dating again after you left Juliana's dad?
So it took a little while for me to start dating after Juliana's dad. I would say probably about a year or two. And then I started casually dating. I did move in with somebody right after Juliana's dad and I split up. It was about a year and a half, I would say. We lived with each other for about a year and it didn't work out. So obviously I moved back home. And then from there, it took me a long time to really get my feet on the ground. I dated casually. Dating sites were horrible.
Yeah, because you have an infant at this point, like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. What am I
Hold on, let me
doing?
go on a date for a minute.
Hold on 1 second. I gotta go. I got
Like you can't like
baby's
do
crying.
sleepovers, right?
Hey, mom, dad, do you mind watching her overnight so I can sleep
I'm
over?
gonna go late real quick. I'll be back.
No, it was so hard. It was so uncomfortable. It was just not where I pictured myself,
Right.
I guess you can say. Who would have thought that at 27 years old, 28 years old with a newborn baby that I have
Right.
to ask my parents' permission to go on a date? Like, what?
It's almost worse than sneaking out of the house when you're a
horrible.
kid,
I mean,
right?
I might as well just sneak out. Baby will just start crying. So yeah, I think I took my time after that, and then I I found my 5-year relationship. I was with a guy that I dated for 5 years. And of course, the beginning of any relationship is great, and you think that, this is it. And I'm 30 years old, and wow, like my life is finally on track. I met somebody great job, great to my family, good human being. And then, you start to really get to know somebody and they start to get to know you. And we were just on different paths. We wanted different things.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I didn't realize that until probably like 4 years into the relationship. I always questioned, I always doubted, but
Right.
I always brought my mind back to we can make it work.
Of course.
Like,
Of course.
I
I
can't.
think that's the thing about us women. We're
Yeah.
always the fixers. We always can make it
Absolutely.
work. We can always try to change them.
Lord knows I've tried.
Yeah. And I think that's like, that's a huge thing we can touch on too, is that even same for me, thinking how strong I am and this and that. We always go back to thinking we're going to change somebody or change something or make them better or make them see. And
I think that's the one thing I can say truly that my mom it will always stick to me. My mom always said, "You're never going to change a man.
my mom too.
You're never, ever going to change anybody,
Right.
not just a man,
Right.
a friend,
Right.
my child. Like, you're not going to change somebody.
My mom used to say the same thing to me
They are
about
who they are.
my
I mean,
ex. Yeah.
yeah.
You either have to come to terms. They're not that they're bad people, but it does that work, that one thing that you struggled with or that I struggled with stick out, and can you accept it? Because they're not going to change, You have to ask yourself if you're okay with being accepting of that.
Yeah.
Or is that a deal breaker or not? What is your non-negotiable? You have to ask yourself.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest thing is I had a horrible mentality. Like, my mental state was just like, I'm 35. Like, I need to get married. I need to get, like, there's the one advice I think I can give anybody is there's no time limit.
Right.
Like, you could be 40, you could be 50. Like, who cares?
Right.
Like, you'll know when the time is right. So with that being said, I dated casually after my 5-year relationship, but I am in a very, very good place right now.
I get
We
to
all
witness
love
it. We love
Brian.
that, right. Yes. Very happy.
Things are really, really good. It took me 36 years to heal.
Many anxiety attacks. I mean, I've seen them.
I mean,
I
girl has
think
seen
the
it all.
thing that I witnessed of being friends with you in the last, the last 2 years was this, you just said it. Like, thinking like your life is over. You're 35, 36 years old. And like, I need to be married in a house and this and that. And that's not the case.
Yeah. And I was leaning to men, toxic men, for a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It was a Band-Aid. It was a quick fix. Wow, they're showing me attention. They think I'm beautiful. Like, I know I'm beautiful.
Right.
I know I'm beautiful inside and out. I want to show that to my daughter that you don't need anybody
Validation.
or validation. You really don't. Like, I think in this point in my life, I could truly say if I did not meet Brian, I would be fine alone.
Right.
I have amazing friends.
100%.
Like, look
Yeah,
what we
our friend
have.
group is amazing.
We're so fortunate in this part of stage in our life. Like, our kids are so close.
Like financially, we're in our careers.
Yeah.
We could literally
We're so
live with
badass.
that. We're so badass.
We're so badass.
You know, all the things. And that's, I think, that one little piece of our puzzle where we did, you know, we're for validation or just love in general.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, who doesn't want that, right? Like, it's amazing feeling. It's your endorphins and you're in such a high. It's a drug.
It
really
literally
is a drug. And I was just turning to the wrong people. And, you know, my past relationship, I wasn't getting that attention that I craved. So the first guy right after, I'm like, okay, this is great. He's the one.
Oh boy. I was frightened.
Yeah, it was horrible. But hey, it's a stepping stone, right?
Yeah.
It's the
worst thing watching your friend go through it, right?
I know.
It is.
It is. And
you know,
sometimes you're on that end.
And then you're
I'm
on that end. Yeah.
I have to say though, I think this is so interesting. And I think I could say this like a lot of my like core people. We're never on the same page.
No.
It's either
thank God. Could you imagine if we're all fucking spiraling together? That would be not good.
I just all to be happy
together.
together.
You mean happy together. I thought you meant, I was thinking spiraling together.
No, that too. Like either way. Like we're never.
No, there has to be a balance.
It's crazy.
There has to be a balance.
I was thinking of that this morning. I'm like, you know, just a year or two ago, you're trying to fix your marriage and you were trying to. And I'm so happy for you. And then I'm like, well, I don't know where I stand. And like, he doesn't want to like fully commit to me and like, what's going to happen to me? And we're just all over the place. Yeah. And now we're at different points in our lives too. And I don't know. I think it's just like so bizarre to me that happens.
Yeah.
But
that's good though. We need that.
Yeah.
I'm all about the balance.
No, I know. And you're so supportive, which is like huge. Cause like, especially when you're going through, I feel like something tough, like it's hard for me to like gush over like,
oh no,
Brian,
gosh, baby.
And like, oh my gosh. Like,
no, because if that's the only happy
things. Yeah.
No, like, because if that's the only happy thing in my life, I want to hear it.
I know. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think therapy, I swear by it. You pushed me.
Mm-hmm.
You pushed me. I have to say that's the one thing I love you for everything, but I love you for that. She pushed me to do therapy. And it's a game changer. It's completely changed my whole perspective and just life around. I'm just someone to talk to who doesn't judge you.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know anything about you.
Mm-hmm.
People look at therapy, I think, as
especially let's touch on men and how they think about therapy. We know Brian's like not
he's not
ever like any man, but most men, I think.
Absolutely.
You guys go talk to somebody. Yeah. But even women too. I think everybody just gets so like scared or like they have their big issue. Like they're like the worst person in the world. And it's like, I do therapy when I'm in the best place in my life. Yeah.
I think that if we all went to therapy, it would be a better world.
Yeah.
I swear.
Like I'm big on, I always say like my next relationship, like I want me and that person to go to start therapy right from the jump.
Brian says it all the time.
Yeah.
It's one thing that it's the next step.
Yeah.
Like we want to do couples therapy, even when we're fine.
All right. Even if it's once a month.
Talk about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's struggles. I mean, so with that being said, Brian has a 6-year-old daughter. Juliana's 9. It's the first time.
Blended family.
Woo. Woo. It is no joke, but it is fun and it's so special. And he truly is the love of my life. I needed him in this time. And he helps me heal every day. Like every day I'm healing on my own, but
she's like, Brian, me this morning, she's like, Brian and me were up talking about the podcast for an hour. This was at like 5 a.m. I'm like,
he needed to make sure I was prepped. He's so excited for me. He's so supportive. He knows I always wanted to do this. This was definitely a goal of mine, was to have my own or be on one or just like talk about the struggles of single mom life and just like everything, just everyday life. And He's so supportive, and yeah, things are great.
Brian's biggest thing is he has to process things. And we love that
We
about
love
him.
that about
and we
him.
think that's really incredible.
Absolutely.
Because most
And
people don't process shit
No, they are so
before
emotional.
they respond, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from my relationship with him is he's made me realize that, like, shit, I need to process stuff. There's things that I have to process. And I think it's helping me with work and not like jumping the gun and like hard conversations.
It's helped me by just knowing him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what would Brian do? He has to process.
We got to get Brian on this podcast.
I know.
But yeah, I think that was the toughest thing, was just like using men as a Band-Aid and thinking that, you know, I don't know, everything revolves around a man.
Right.
Like, why?
Like you can't survive or go by your day without having
like,
a fabulous boyfriend.
Yeah, like that's a bonus.
Right.
That's a bonus. That is a bonus. And that's the one thing I would say is don't worry about the time, your age. Just go with it. It will happen when you least expect it. All of my serious relationships, I will say, happened when I least expected it.
Yeah. 100%.
When I was on a dating site and then I was like, I don't want to be on this anymore. You get off and then you just meet somebody organically.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like,
totally.
You're not looking for it. And I think don't put so much stress on yourselves. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, I want people to get from this too, is like, you can have it all together and just,
or you don't have to have it all together.
Or you don't.
At all.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're all hot messes.
Mm-hmm.
We really are.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. I guess my next question is going to be, what was your lowest point? Like what was the lowest point and what were some key factors that helped you stay strong and keep you moving forward?
I think I'd have to say, trying to figure out my authentic, true self during all of it was the hardest thing. And that was at my lowest point, is because I didn't know who I was. I had no idea who I was. I'm a completely different person now than I even was 6 months ago.
Right.
Like
at
we're
26.
100%. We're always evolving. I think what I could touch on, I think what is most important is what helped me. I mean, this might sound crazy, but my fitness, health, getting my shit together, having a badass career and really pushing to maybe another promotion, or just continuing to work hard. I think those are really what helped me. Family, friendships. Like I think just focusing on myself and realizing that it's not selfish.
Yeah, no.
It's not selfish, because I always looked at it like, oh, if I go to the gym for an hour, like, this is so selfish of me. Juliana's at home and like I could be spending time with her. But no, like, I'm going to be a better mom.
Right.
I'm going to be a better person.
I think moms forget that so much.
I do too.
Like, I remember, like, how many times have you went to the gym in one day? Sometimes two, right? Like, just because we need to go walk and do cardio or go back and lift weights, like, you know? So like like I've seen you do it, like when you were at your low points, like instead of going out and going and having a drink or whatever, you would go to the gym at night again for a second time. Like, just seeing, like, doing those little things.
I would say that's great. I totally forgot about, I try to like block that out, but I was at a really bad place. I feel like with like my body, I thought like not eating enough calories was sexy, or like needing to lose all this weight, and like my abs show, like I wasn't anorexic, but like I was like not eating and not taking care of myself, not being healthy.
Right.
I wasn't being healthy. I thought that
your body image defined.
Yeah, like it was horrible. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was such a dark place, I think, because I was so wrapped up in counting every single thing and making sure that everything lined up with my macros for the day. I look better now. I feel better now.
Right.
You don't need, that's like a whole other topic, but you don't need to do all that. And I do think that was my lowest point. I think that was because I had no confidence in myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was doing. I was not confident at all. And I think now, like, hey, I have body dysmorphia. We all do. We all like look at ourselves and wish that we
Never
can.
good enough.
Yeah, we're never
Right.
good enough. And I don't like that because I have a daughter. I never want her to feel that way. There's days where I notice she's in the mirror and she's like, I look fat. And I'm like, I do not talk like that at home, but I'm just like, well, where are you getting this from? And like the
Right.
shows that you're watching and
Yeah.
stuff. So I do think my lowest point was definitely that like 1.5, 2 years of like me being obsessed with my fitness. Like
Mhm.
now it's more mental for me.
Right.
Now it's more like I'm going to go to the gym because I'm a little bit stressed. It's not like I need to go to the gym because I have a little bit of cellulite on my right thigh. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or I ate too much. I added ketchup to my french fries or something. I don't know, something bizarre, but
Right.
I do think
Like
it was
you're
mental.
not going to the gym twice because you're like, you ate
I
a burger
skip
at
now.
noon.
Yeah,
Right.
like I don't
right.
go 7 days a week. I was going 7 days a week. I
Right.
was teeny tiny. Do you remember how tiny I was?
Yes.
It was not healthy.
Scary.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I
Yeah,
had
just having a healthy balance,
Yeah,
I think
so
are
healthy.
the key points that are going to help you, circum anything that you're going through in life. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Just taking away one thing at a time. And I think sometimes people overload themselves with like trying to change a million different things.
Yeah.
Just to do one thing at a time, Moving your body is super important. And that's definitely going to be the best thing for your
Yeah.
mental, for everything, your well-being, the whole nine. So yeah.
I do think that's a big takeaway from this too is I want to like everybody should be moving their body. Like
Yeah.
it's such an amazing, like we go to the gym together and just like or finding somebody to go with you.
Yeah.
Like having that support system to motivate you. I feel like you motivate me. I hope I motivate you,
Yeah.
Same with my boyfriend now. We go to the gym together. He motivates me. He pushes me. I push him to be better. I love that.
Yeah.
I need that. Like I
Same.
crave that,
Mhm.
So I do think that's definitely important in the whole like my healing journey,
For sure.
I would say.
Same for me.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. My next question is, what advice would you give another woman struggling with the same situations or that are in the same, situation as you or have been? What would your advice be to them?
Don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself grace. I'm big spiritual the last couple months. I do think God has a plan for everybody. Don't give up and just don't be so hard. I think we all need to give ourselves grace. Life is so unpredictable. We have no idea what's going to happen later today or tomorrow. Enjoy yourself, love hard, be kind. But most of all, I think just don't be so hard.
Yeah.
Really, really, really just be your authentic self, but don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Exactly.
Right?
And just one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Just one little thing, and I always say like that momentum, that discipline and the routine builds that momentum. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
it just kind of all falls
I love that.
into place.
I think that's definitely the biggest thing is just give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Life is tough already. Don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Truly.
I love you.
Do you believe that?
I do. I do.
I love that.
I do.
Good.
I do.
I'm glad you finally do.
I really do.
love you.
I really love you.
Because boy, did you put some pressure on yourself.
I did.
for
I
so
really
long.
did. I did.
No, I
I
love
am
that.
so, it's weird. Like, I don't know. Like, you can ask, I'm sure you could see it. Just a
Mhm.
whole different, just being in a solid, new, comfortable situation and relationship, somebody who really pushes me to do better and really is just an amazing human being is so beautiful.
And it wasn't a situation where it was like forced. You really took your time with it. That
We
was
really took our time.
really took their time. So that was what was cool about it. It wasn't like you
Yeah.
jumped into a relationship. I mean, we're touching
No.
on your relationship again, but like it wasn't something that gave you happiness because like you jumped into a good. It was so slow. You didn't even think he was like the one
No,
or
I was
anything.
like,
I had to
he's-
talk you.
Yeah.
Into
He's
loving
not my
him.
type.
No,
He's
I
not my
know.
type. And I'm like,
Yeah.
she's
So
like, what?
just giving yourself grace,
Yeah.
giving yourself processing it, taking things slowly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All righty. And the last question for you, my Stephanie, is what would you tell the 18-year-old Stephanie today?
Take it slow. Don't rush life and just really be present in the moment and enjoy life because again, life is so unpredictable. you never know where you're going to end up. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, just take it slow. Life goes so quick.
It does.
So quick. Like, look at us. I have a almost 10-year-old. Graham's going to be 5.
Yeah.
Like,
Goes so
life
quick.
goes so quick. Just be present.
Yeah. I feel like I've
Be in the
missed so
moment.
much. I feel like that's what I've been struggling with lately. Just being present and intentional in the moment.
It's hard.
It's just so hard.
It's hard being an entrepreneur and having your own business and having an amazing career. Like, I beat myself up for it all the time. I really do. Like, answering a phone call for work at 7:30 at night, 8 o'clock. And it's like trying to get her to bed and trying to manage everything. I mean,
when they're like, Mommy, like Graham's literally like, Mommy, you're not listening to me.
Yeah, that's
because I'm like,
breaks your heart.
Breaks my heart.
We have to give ourselves grace. We do have to be present, and I think we just have to, it's time management. We have to just figure it out. Yeah. And it's every day we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
No, not at all.
Not perfect at all. I did find like a little quote that I kind of wanted to end with, which I thought was like really cool. And I know you're big into like leveling up and like empowerment. So it's leveling up requires isolation, separation, and extreme focus.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I loved it. It reminded me of you. It reminded me of myself and our situation separate but together. So many times I had to isolate myself. You've been there. How many times have we had to separate ourselves from either people or certain situations? And then where does it lead us? Just to extreme focus. Like I feel like we're exactly where we need to be right now.
Yeah.
Like, truly.
Yeah.
I love you.
Oh, I'm going to cry. I love you too.
I love you that you had me on the show. So fun. This is so nice.
Thank you so much for joining. I love you too. Hopefully we get Bri on here at some point.
Love you, baby.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can take a look at us at selflovebysarah.com. And don't forget to check us out at sagrabeauty.com. Bye-bye.